looks like we may have a pretty good idea of when Caitlin Clark is next going to play basketball, and it's not during the WNBA season. At least that's not the next thing that she's got her eye on. It's not Unrivaled, and it's not Athletes Unlimited, but it is sooner than the WNBA season.
The reality check that the WNBA has been dreading just arrived. The player who single-handedly brought women's basketball into the public eye, Caitlin Clark, simply turned down every off-season league that approached her. No unparalleled, limitless athletes, or foreign funds that would make your home payment seem insignificant. The entire basketball establishment is silently freaking out behind closed doors because she won't play. This is where the story takes a surprising turn, though. Everyone is focused on generating headlines about Clark giving up basketball, but they are totally unaware of the actual play she's making. It's not a retreat. This isn't burnout. One of the most premeditated power movements in contemporary sports is this one. And the WNBA will soon discover just how much they depend on her. This is what many of you have been saying in the comments for weeks. You saw that the injury timetable didn't stack up. You wondered why the Indiana Fever continued to alter their narrative. When you noted that a high ankle sprain does not keep a professional athlete out for 4 months, you were spot on. Let's cut through the clutter and examine the true situation. Because no one's reporting can compare to the narrative behind the tale. Everyone should be aware of the facts, not just the sanitized media, if you agree with the story. Released, hit the like button immediately. It indicates that we are probing in the appropriate areas and asking the appropriate questions. Because everything you believe to be true about Caitlin Clark's debut season is altered by what we're about to dissect. Let's begin with the ruling that has split the basketball community in two. Clark declined Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 league with substantial financial support that was created especially to keep WNBA players in the United States over the winter. Another domestic option that would have kept her in front of American fans was Athletes Unlimited, which she declined. And she unquestionably turned off opportunities to travel abroad that frequently offer athletes 6 figures for a few months of labor. That sounds crazy on the surface. We are discussing a player that earned nearly $200,000 during her first season in the WNBA. She is declining off-season payouts that might equal or surpass that total compensation. For many years, players have used foreign participation to augment their WNBA earnings. In women's basketball, it's not just typical, it's almost required if you want financial stability. However, Clark is not like other athletes. And this ruling demonstrates it. She's playing a very different game than her rivals, who are working overseas for wages. The query. Everyone wants to know why. Why would someone choose to sit at home when they might be stacking paper right now? The response tells us everything about the future of women's basketball and who is actually in charge of the story. Clark's priorities were very evident when you read between the lines of her farewell interview. She is not concerned about immediate financial gain. She isn't looking for approval from off-season leagues, which are unknown to most casual viewers. According to her, getting her body healthy is her first priority. That statement alone has the key to comprehending the whole issue. Let's go back and discuss this injury problem because, when you look at the timing, nothing about it makes sense. The Indiana Fever reported that Clark sustained a high ankle sprain and a groin injury back in July. Common injuries that athletes in the professional ranks frequently experience. A maximum healing period of 6 to 8 weeks is anticipated for all of those injuries. However, as November approaches, she is still not participating in competitive basketball. For months for a groin strain and a high ankle sprain. Give that some thought. NFL players recover from ACL tears more quickly than this. In half that time, NBA guards with identical ailments return to the floor. However, Clark's injuries necessitated a time of recuperation that extended for the duration of the offseason. Anyone who was paying attention began to ask questions, but the Fever refused to respond. The math isn't matching. The group became the professional sports equivalent of the CIA. Each injury update seemed to have been authored by attorneys and approved by 3 separate public relations departments. They used phrases like load management procedures, daily assessment, and preventative measures. They didn't really explain why their franchise cornerstone was lying there, instead using more medical jargon than a hospital drama did out for so long. This is what the official timeline indicates. After putting on impressive efforts in her first few games, Clark abruptly became too hurt to play 5 straight games. Suddenly, the girl who pulled up from the Iowa logo and cursed at defenders twice her size was moving as if she was afraid to make a hard cut. The explanation for the fever never matched what fans were witnessing with their own eyes, and something shifted.
Oh, she didn't look like her usual self. Though her counting stats, 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, 8.8 assists, were still impressive, she shot 36.7% from the field, including 27.9% from three-point range, and had 3 games without a 3, something that previously hadn't happened since her sophomore season at Iowa. Quote, "I would never speak for Caitlin, but it's frustrating as an athlete to go through injury when you're not able to do what you love to do," White said. "Certainly having setbacks, then working your way back, then having another setback, all of that is frustrating. While it's frustrating, it's important that we get her back to 100% and she's comfortable, she's confident, that she's healthy, and that she can move forward in a way that continues to build on her career and her franchise."
As one might anticipate from a professional head coach, Coach Stephanie, White has handled the matter diplomatically. However, pay attention to what she's really saying in between the lines. Working back after several setbacks rather than experiencing yet another setback. That isn't the tale of a straightforward ankle sprain. That is the tale of an injury that was either mismanaged from the beginning or far worse than first reported. This is also where the conspiracy theory first gained traction. Despite being allegedly too injured to play basketball, Clark managed to maintain her health enough to participate in interviews, make media appearances, and promotional activities. She couldn't run up and down a court for 20 minutes, but she could converse for an hour at a desk. Fans began making connections between things that the fever really didn't want to. Some assumed it had to do with problems with the team's chemistry with other elite players. Some thought the company was purposefully setting her up to tank for a better draft position. The most bizarre idea circulating on social media said that Clark was using the injury as a pretext for discussions while covertly looking into opportunities with other teams. Fans fill in the holes on their own when an organization ceases being honest. However, this has not received official confirmation. Throughout it all, the Indiana Fever's communication approach served as a lesson in how not to deal with a superstar's injuries. They made ambiguous remarks that left more questions than answers. They repeatedly altered the story. They never provided supporters with a precise timeline or reason. It was like witnessing a company realize in real time that they had no idea how to handle the most significant event in its franchise's history. However, everyone missed what Clark was setting up since they were all preoccupied with what she wasn't doing. Because she didn't want to play in these off-season leagues in order to prevent basketball. Avoiding the incorrect basketball at the wrong moment was the key. Take a moment to consider it from Clark's point of view. Right now, she might play in Athletes Unlimited or Unrivaled. She would continue to create headlines, get some press, and earn a respectable salary. It sounds fantastic, doesn't it? However, those leagues play in front of audiences that could fill a high school gym. The majority of casual fans are unaware that the game's being streamed on these platforms. If they're lucky, the highlight plays could receive several thousand views. Caitlin Clark does not perform on that stage. Her brand worth is not matched by that platform. She isn't acting haughtily. She is acting strategically. As other players, Clark is generating expectation for something much larger by chasing winter wages that vanish into tax returns. The next portion of this narrative is going to blow your mind. So if you've been following it closely, please leave a comment right now telling us what you think her true endgame is. This is the point at which we must discuss what transpired with the WNBA following Clark's injury. The league had developed a modest but devoted fan base over the course of 25 years. After then, Clark appeared and made 25 games relevant to the general public. WNBA content was given priority by ESPN due to record-breaking television numbers and social media engagement. Sales of jerseys that caused executives to reflect. They had at last discovered the secret to sustainable growth. Then, More quickly than a defensive rotation against Clark's passes, it was all gone. The record TV ratings have vanished. The social media buzz that had WNBA storylines being debated on basketball Twitter really faded. Compared to last week's leftovers, the jersey sales and product figures that were thrilling business partners cooled off more quickly. The league once again fought for scraps on highlight shows after seeming like the next great thing in sports. Previously crowded with real national media, post-game press conferences have returned to being half-empty halls as the same three beat writers posing recurring queries. Television networks soon realized they had other programming priorities after investing much in WNBA broadcast rights. The once guaranteed prime time slots were once again occupied by unrequested poker tournaments and baseball reruns. Losing the momentum wasn't the only terrible aspect. The WNBA had finally experienced what it was like to be successful in the mainstream. Furthermore, losing it was more painful than never having it. They had become dependent on Clark's ability to give each game a sense of significance. The withdrawal was also harsh. The difference became apparent to other players. Right away, they didn't have any popular highlights. There was no hype about their games. The casual spectators who attended Clark's game were not staying to watch anyone else. Meetings in the league's marketing division most likely resembled funerals. Clark's star power served as the foundation for their whole plan. Additionally, they had no backup plan when she went down. The player who single-handedly attracted millions of new customers to your goods cannot simply be replaced. Losing that degree of cultural influence has no backup plan. At the conclusion of the month, league executives began to push alternative themes more forcefully than a used car salesperson. They attempted to make Aya Wilson the spokesperson for everything. They emphasized rookie rivals. They advertised playoff games as urgently as they could. Nothing remained. Without their favorite athlete, the casual fans had left and would not return. Even ardent WNBA fans sensed a fundamental shift. Every level of the company was affected financially. Sales of merchandise declined. The next season's ticket sales were dubious. Corporate partners asked unpleasant questions about audience forecasts after sponsorship arrangements appeared to be sealed up. One player might truly make all the difference, as demonstrated by the WNBA. And Clark's absence demonstrated that losing one, everything might be destroyed by the player equally quickly. This is the reality that unnerves league executives. Caitlin Clark is far more important to the WNBA than the other way around. As a collegiate basketball player, she demonstrated her ability to attract widespread notice. NBA playoff games were routinely outnumbered by her Iowa games. Without the league's infrastructure, she gave women's basketball cultural significance. She is essential to their survival. Either way, she'll be all right. This leads to the revelation that completely alters the story. It's not a rejection of basketball that Clark refuses to play during the offseason. The greatest spectacular comeback tale in women's basketball history is about to begin. She's not cuddling up on her couch. She is recovering, training appropriately, and getting ready for a comeback that will garner more attention than all those off-season leagues put together. Her goal isn't unbeatable or unlimited for athletes. Team USA and the qualifying competition in Puerto Rico in March are her goals. She won't see any really competitive action since July until those games. And every network executive who believed they lost out on Clark will be vying for broadcast rights when she enters that court wearing a USA jersey. This isn't only a return. Beyond basketball, this is appointment television. The girl who attracted millions of casual admirers to women's basketball is making a comeback on the grandest stage imaginable. It's likely that NBC, ESPN, and Fox Sports are already organizing their coverage plan. This will involve putting things away and watching TV. Clark is aware of it as well. More attention will probably be generated by her first game back than by the WNBA Finals. It is not disrespectful to the league. That's just the way things are. Decades-old viewership records were shattered by Clark's college games. Those who had never given women's basketball much thought had to watch her WNBA debut. Imagine the same enthusiasm directed toward a global competition where pride in one's country is at stake. When she returns, the social media frenzy will be unheard of. Every help will cause Twitter to collapse. Instagram will crash after every deep three. Every highlight will go viral more quickly than TikTok dancing trends. For weeks, Clark's return will be the main topic of sports media, and the WNBA will immediately enter their most prosperous season ever by riding that wave. The league is aware of this. The players are aware of it. Clark is undoubtedly aware of it. Her refusal to participate in off-season leagues appears to be brilliant brand management because of this. She was creating excitement for a comeback that would be hard to ignore while other players were working hard for salaries that casual fans were unaware of. She became absent. No winter league could compare to the pure marketing riches created by expectation. Click the subscribe button and enable notifications if this analysis made it easier for you to comprehend what's actually going on behind the headlines. We are delving deeply into the stories that the mainstream media refuses to cover. You won't want to miss what we're learning about the power dynamics that are changing women's basketball. Women's basketball will undergo a permanent transformation from March 11th to March 17th. Clark's comeback will demonstrate that deliberate patience always outperforms quick cash just once. The WNBA will soon reclaim their golden goose, and they had better treat her like a franchisee this time. If this injury scenario has taught us anything, it is that number 22 is crucial to the league's mainstream importance. That's not a viewpoint. When she isn't performing, arenas are empty, and television numbers support those facts. Continue challenging the official narratives till the next time. The true narrative is constantly concealed from view.